Hello, I'm Martin Mercer.
And I'm James Mastriani.
You've never heard of us.
We're two Brits who grew up in North London and have had varying success in the film and television industry.
In our ever-advancing age, we find ourselves on
the wrong side of Hollywood.
In our series of podcasts, we'll share our experiences of what it's like being a British bloke living and working,
Or not.
in the biz.
We'll discuss everything from fish and chips to things that wind us up.
So stay with us, it's all uphill from here.
This podcast may contain strong language. If you're of a sensitive nature or easily offended, we invite you to, as they say in Blighty, jog on.
Thanks to our dear listeners like you, the Wrong Side of Hollywood podcast is made possible by donations from our Patreon members.
Whether it be a one-off or a generous monthly contribution, why not consider heading over to patreon.com/the wrong side of Hollywood.
There you can become a member and have access to behind-the-scenes videos and other exclusive content. Thank you.
Thank you.
How are you?
Now, I'm a bit deaf today, James.
What?
No, take the piss. I just hope you don't have this.
You're right.
Seriously.
But I have to take... Oh, I got to get you power.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, plug that in flat down there on the thingamajig.
And there's the other hole there
Yeah.
on the other side. There you go.
Yeah.
Slot it in. Brrr. You matron, Dr. Prod. Right.
And here we are.
Now.
I'm going to pour me just a little bit of coffee so that I can try
Just a bit.
your...
Yeah, go on. Now, James, you're going to try oat milk. Now, I've stopped... Well, I say I stopped doing dairy, but Sal brought in some blue cheese, and I found myself slathering enough to give you a coronary on a...
Coronary, even.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, that was gentle Peter-ting.
Yes, go on.
Next.
Go on.
Enough to give you heart failure. And
Would you like to go first with your...
Yeah. Oh my God, that is strong. Fucking hell, mate. I'm going to be like rocket to the moon.
Well, that's my usual strength.
Everything right, can you? Hold on. I mean, look at that. It looks like hot chocolate. Okay. Thank you, my dear. Now, I have brought with us today...
Hang on, is this our...
Dong, 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 dong.
See, I kind of like this as it is.
No, this is good. Here we are. This is off-the-cuff podcast.
Yeah.
Tentatively titled Hotter Than Satan's Gonads.
Because?
It's fucking hot out there,
Yeah, I know.
James. What's the temperature, my computer chum?
Well, currently on our deck, it
Right.
is 96 degrees outside.
96 degrees.
What is that in Celsius?
Oh, that's a good question. Researcher, where are you?
It's 35.56 degrees Celsius.
Right. Now, currently the temperature in Britain is...
I've no clue.
No, I don't think that's the one.
It's raining there.
Right.
Because, you know, now that there's been a general erection,
Yes.
the temperature's dropped.
Hold on. I'll just quickly look at it up. Temp in UK. So it's now 62.
Fahrenheit.
No, Celsius.
No, it can't be 62
Oh.
degrees Celsius.
Well, it's got 62 with a little hole above it.
That's degrees.
Right.
Does it say C or F?
There's no need to be rude. Oh my God, I'm terrible. Oh, I don't know. It's not as fucking hot as air.
No, it
Next.
isn't. It is.
Then the thing is, on top of this fucking heat, it was July the 4th yesterday.
Yeah.
And what did these cockwombles do? Launch these insane fireworks. It was mental here, James. I mean, literally, you can hear the poof
Yeah,
of
I
the
know.
canister go up, and then it detonates
Yeah.
with a flash. And these wank pots are out there. They're not deaf. They'll never be deaf. They'll be fucking fine. Their hearing will be beautiful when they pass. And they're just standing there looking at this and launching this shit. But I reckon there's at least $1,000 worth.
Oh, minimum.
Minimum.
So when we came back last night, it was about 10 o'clock, 10:30, on Tahunga
That's NoHo.
in the chicken lane, which is a special turning lane for turning left or right in the middle of the road. They had a mortar set up for all these different tubes with fireworks. They were already spent, but they were still out there lighting new ones. And Moni's like, just drive past it, because they were lighting it as we were driving past. And then when we turned onto Tiara,
Right.
we had to stop because they'd already lit fireworks in the middle of the road. So we had to wait for them to go up and explode before we could pass. They were very kind. They moved them out the way.
Oh, how lovely.
Right. But strangely enough, as we were driving, you could hear, after they exploded, they were raining down on the car. So you
Oh,
could,
wonderful.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah,
Oh,
it was
lovely.
Yeah. So that was
I'm
fun.
really helping keep the streets clean. What pisses me off is no rozzers.
No.
You want to report illegal fireworks? Just online. So what are you going to do? Type out this report? It's like, they're over there, officer.
Yeah.
They're there right now, officer.
And if you have pictures, you're supposed to upload them. But, you know, there's no police presence here. They are short-staffed. We've talked about this 100 times.
Yeah.
It is illegal in
Right.
the city of LA
Right.
to set off fireworks. And yet there was so much stuff going on yesterday.
Now, I see myself as a reasonably balanced person. And
Wow.
come on, you love it.
No.
Now, you're not used to the taste, but it's much healthier for you.
Well, I don't care.
Stick to your cow jizz. Anyway, so a reasonably balanced person. And I find myself morphing into a Farage type monster. I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to be like that fucking cheesy Farage-y cunt. But the thing is, you're in this behaviour.
Yeah.
Two guys walk past. They're opening up something. They just fucking drop the rubbish. Who clears up their rubbish?
You do.
Who clears up their dump shit?
You do.
Who phones in 311, guys and girls, however you identify? You can
Idiot.
phone 311 and post about the fucking dumping.
Right.
What else? The fucking loud music, the fucking fireworks. And I'm like, there's no fucking law. It feels like it. And of course, you've got the media and they're pushing it as well. But the thing is, you can see it. And there is not one rozza. You go to Burbank, even though it's in Los Angeles, its own city,
Yeah.
hush.
Yeah.
Because you know, if you light a fart, Burbank PD will be down there.
Yeah. And not with just one car, but three.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's just,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
grinds my cheeks. Oh, James isn't really liking the oat milk. But I tell you what, come on, let's have half of this.
All right.
I didn't go anywhere else today because it was a bit of an off-the-cuff podcast. So I just went to Lou's, our delightful French chap on the block. And instead of a croissant, I purchased this almond and pear tart. Now, I don't know about you, James, but I love almond and pear.
Well, I'll try it.
Go on then.
All right.
Look at that, it's exactly half, mate. Usually I would slightly give me a bigger piece.
Your generosity knows no...
Bounds.
No, exactly.
So, come on, let's hear a description from you. We need to up your ante.
Well,
with the,
you know, I'm not very good with descriptions, mate.
You could be.
I
Don't
could.
deny yourself. Your brother is Guy.
Well, that is true. But, you know. Okay, it's very crunchy pastry to cut through,
Right.
which is good, but I'm going to... Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Our
God.
first firework of
Our
the day.
first firework. Oh,
1:34 p.m. on...
no, that's
No,
the
no.
actually rubbish
That's
collection.
it.
Oh, fuck. That was a grumble that popped.
Okay,
How is it?
that's very good. I like those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't cheap.
No, of course not.
I'm going to bite into it. Now, first of all, my incisor teeth scrape over the platelets of almond roasted. They then sink through the soft, flavoursome pear. Oh, yeah. You go through the pear, and underneath it is the almond sort of pastry.
Very nice, I have to say.
So you've got the lovely texture, you've got the texture of the pear,
Yeah,
you've got the hardness of the almond that gives way,
right.
and you've got the crust. And that is, oh, that almondy after scent is coming through. Oh, that's delicious.
It
isn't
is very nice.
Now, I wouldn't dunk that. I think that's just a raw eat.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
No, that's
So
very nice. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's from Lou. Oh, that was lovely, isn't it? And with the coffee, oh, that's lovely.
It's nicely complimented, I have to say.
Mm.
Yeah. No, very nice. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Got any more?
no,
Oh.
it wasn't cheap.
I thought you were working.
Well, non-union, mate.
Oh.
And that brings me to a quick comment that it appears IATSE, International Stagehand Technician, Film Union, has come to a tentative deal with the AMT producers. But what that means in the real world, we're not really sure because the work is dreadfully slow. I've been very lucky. I've got on a non-union show, a horror project, which is quite exciting for some really good guys, which does help. But as we're sort of chunder chewing our delicious pastry, I was wondering about your brother because he's just launched a bit of a cracking show, hasn't he?
Yes, this is the full show. He launched a shortened version a couple of years back at the Edinburgh Festival, which I was very privileged to go see. I believe you invested in some of it as well.
Well, first of all, what's the title?
It's called The Marilyn Conspiracy.
Right, now, the investing thing, mate, honestly, Guy Masterson, James Mastriani's brother, and my friend, not to talk about my beneficence, it was more of an appreciation of Guy just working his arse off and being a creator. But the thing is, it's about Marilyn Monroe, and it's about this idea, this conspiracy that her death was far from natural.
Yeah. Now, kudos to my brother and all parties concerned. It was originated and co-written by Vicky McKellar, and they have deeply researched this. They created a spreadsheet. They went through all the stuff that was said, all the stuff that has come out recently, all the theories, all the conspiracy ideas, and all this kind of stuff, and pieced together an incredibly compelling play. It stars Genevieve Gaunt as Marilyn and an absolutely wonderful ensemble cast. It is going to be playing at the Park Theatre in Finsbury Park through July 27th, and hopefully it'll get a West End run.
Hope so.
I definitely recommend anybody who might be going to London, or all of our friends who are in London, go see it.
Yeah.
Did you see it or not?
It was a blind investment, my dear. I just saw Guy Masterson's name and I said, here, take my purse, take my coin.
So here's a question.
Yeah. Oh, don't choke on that arm.
I know, it's right in my throat. Hang on a sec.
Come back, James. Beep, 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 beep.
Are you going to have a chance to see it when you go back?
I do our best, because the thing is we do have Lucas with us. But the thing is a quick reminder that Finsbury Park is in North London.
That's correct.
And it's a bit odd.
Bit near Arsenal, I'm afraid.
It's a bit near Arsenal, which for James is just like the gates of Hades. But nonetheless, if you can turn a blind eye, as it were, to that and just visit it, we will try and just see what the situation is, see if Mum can look after Luke. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yes, that's Guy's shows. I'm very excited about that. And talking of entertainment, because we always talk about entertainment whilst we nosh and slurp.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything?
I have. Unfortunately, it's all a bit old,
Oh,
but that's okay. You see, the problem I've got
amongst many.
is that Moni and I don't share the same taste in movies. So when I want to watch an action movie, she's more into the chick flicks kind of things, to use a horribly sexist term. But that said, we did watch a couple of old movies, The Dead Wives Club, which I have to say I've never seen before. It's not bad.
So is that a zombie film?
No. It's a comedy. It was very funny. You saw The Book Club, which again, I'm like just doing this to appease my wife because she's putting up with a lot of my shit recently.
Right.
But the stuff I have watched recently was Mad Max and Mad Max 1. I gave them a good rewatch.
Okay, so now you're talking about the original ones
Yes.
that George did back in the...
George Miller. Yeah.
That's right.
No fact check here.
Yeah. George Miller did.
It was superb.
Yeah.
Just superb filmmaking, you know.
Well, it's the framing, isn't
Right.
it? If you look at other movies back then, and then suddenly he gives you this framing, you're like, fuck, it's awesome.
I really enjoyed doing that. I did go back and I looked at The Bourne Identity because I just wanted to see an action flick.
Number one.
Number one. Your friend Doug Liman directing.
Yes.
Again, brilliant film.
There's a story about that, though, you see.
Yeah.
Oh, dare I dip my toe?
I think you should.
Well, the thing is that Doug, lovely bloke, actually, I got to say that. He's very nice, have worked with him, and he is a very good heart.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yes, and he does a lot of charity donations. And on Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I became his guy. And back then, Photoshop was quite in its infancy, and we were doing animatics and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
She took credit for on the making of video. Anyway. So Doug, this was his movie after Swingers.
Yes.
Now, as you know, Swingers, they were looking for a director, and Doug happened to have a bit of wedge lying around because his dad was one of the lawyers on the Iran-Contra case.
Right.
And so he was like, look, I can direct this. Here's 300,000. He said to the other geezer, what did Mandalorian and Iron Man?
Yes. John Favreau.
John Favreau, yeah, awesome, and all his other stuff. I love The Mandalorian as well, actually, first two.
Yeah.
So anyways, so Doug did that, but there's a lot of controversy around it because when I was on Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I saw Doug doing stuff. He came up with a lot of stuff, and then other people came up with a lot of stuff. I mean, you know, this whole auteur theory, me, but it isn't.
Yeah.
It's a crew-based product.
Yeah.
So there were things said that Doug didn't do all the action stuff and they had to reshoot it, and he takes claim for the Steadicam shot with the fight in the house when the guy gets stabbed in the hand with the pencil, which I thought was awesome. And then somebody else said, well, no, it was all by accident and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, there was a second unit director whose name is Alexander Witt.
Yes.
He did all that chase stuff with the Mini. But nonetheless, not to disparage Doug, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a fucking cracking movie.
Yeah.
So you saw that again.
Yeah, I saw Born Identity, the first one. I just really love that movie.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
It's everything a James Bond movie should be.
Yep.
Like we talked about with the Mission Impossible
Yep.
movies. It's everything it should be.
Yep.
Just brilliant, excellent, entertaining, enjoyable film.
And you believe it. I mean,
Yeah.
that whole stuff with the roof business, him jumping out,
Yeah.
the way he did the moves on the security guys,
Yes.
there's a believability
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
Whereas with Bond now, it's just so... I mean, again, going back to Casino Royale, that fight in the stairwell,
Right.
that was like, ouch.
Yeah.
You believe that,
Yeah.
you know. So,
that was good.
Okay, so you saw that.
And then the only other thing that I tried to show you the other night, Colin from Accounts, which is an Australian comedy. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the subtitles working, so your attention span was a bit short. But it is a it is a really good show, and I hope one day when I can get the subtitles working again, you'll be able to see that. And along with The Cleaner with Greg Davies. Again, these are from 2021 and 2023 respectively. But Greg Davies is so funny.
No, he's excellent. I love him. In Between Us and his comedy shows and Man Down.
Man
I
Down
love
is just
that
superb.
show.
But yeah, as soon as I get my freaking subtitles, we're going to have to watch these shows.
Well,
'cause they
maybe
are
my
so
shells
good.
will be working.
Well,
by then.
maybe.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've been watching is The Acolyte, which is the Star Wars.
Oh.
I could only watch the first episode. I couldn't. I just was like, it was hard watched. Now I hear it's supposed to be very good, but I'm just not interested.
Yeah. You know, there's that great cartoon, isn't there, of the cow, and it's got the word Disney on there,
Right.
and the teats are just literally shriveled bags.
Oh, God.
And you got Mickey Mouse coming along going, oh, Mum, I'm going to get some more milk. Boop. You know, because
Right.
they've milked the fucking cow.
yeah.
You know, and the thing is, when I think of Star Wars, I think of the first three. End
Yeah.
of, sorry, George.
Yeah.
You know, and George Lucas makes me laugh. I mean, don't get me wrong.
You're talking about the original trilogy.
I'm talking about the original trilogy. And then George did his three, as in the new ones after the,
The 1,
original.
2, and 3, as
1, 2, and
opposed
3,
to
whatever.
3, 4, and 5.
And don't get me wrong, high respect for George, THX, ILM. I mean, it goes on and on. Can't fault him there. But the problem is, I think he kind of got lost. I think when you have a creation and you world building, as they call it, you have to be really careful with that world building, that everything, I believe, makes sense in that world. And I always felt that Star Wars, it sprawled out so much, and then it started to repeat itself. Once you've done Vader, once you've done the Emperor,
Right.
honestly, how can you better that? You start, oh, well, this is a new Emperor with a funny face.
Right.
You know, oh, this is Kylo Ren Vader
Right.
with not a good as mask.
Right.
You know, so it's like, how?
That's a wicked lightsaber, though.
Yeah, that was cool.
But that wasn't George Lucas, though.
Ah, who was it?
That was
Mr. Saber.
Mr. Who?
Mr. Saber? Lightsaber. Oh,
Oh,
dear.
Oh, yeah, we'll cut that.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, so very soon we'll be interviewing a good mate of yours, Dave McDermott.
That is correct.
And he's Captain Star Wars, isn't he?
Well-
Wasn't he part of the troops?
He came up with the idea, based on an idea by David McDermott, the Troops, which was a spoof of the Cops TV show, but with stormtroopers.
But it was done years ago. It
Yes.
was before everything was on Reddit and blew
1998.
up.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you remember there was a short called The 405 or something? And it was about a plane that
Yeah,
landed.
crash landing on the 405,
Right.
yeah.
And it was the days before TikTok
Yeah.
and YouTube and all that.
Yeah.
So he was there, so we can talk to him about Star Wars and where it all went wrong. But anyways, why are we talking about Star Wars?
We were talking about The Acolyte.
Oh, right, you
And,
saw
and
that.
now I can only
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
one. Maybe I should give it another shot.
No.
But again, Moni's not interested, and all the stuff that I end up watching. I mean, she's going to go on holiday for a couple of weeks. So I'm going to be sitting there binging a few shows.
Yeah.
And I want to see Maxine is out in the theatres.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see that. I want to see the
Long Legs.
yeah, long
I'm
legs.
looking forward to that.
Yeah,
You've got to watch Speak No Evil.
right.
That should be
Wanna see
coming
that.
streaming horror.
Yeah.
Was it The Black Coat's Daughter?
Well, I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's an obscure horror, but it was directed by the guy that did Long Legs. But what I find interesting is people going, oh, Hollywood, but But if you kind of push through the top layer of it, the kind of crust, there's some cool fucking stuff in there coming out.
Yeah.
Especially in the horror genre. There's some really interesting stuff.
Horror's technically low budget for most part, isn't it? So
Well,
they tend to get made more.
Yeah, look, I haven't watched these films because I do find them quite grotesque, even though I used to do makeup effects. But the Terrifier series, but I think Terrifier 2 was made for $250,000.
Wow.
And it made, I think it was like 10 million.
Wow.
Well, if you take a massive tentpole movie that kind of goes, I don't know, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Shite, for instance, and you look at the two movies, Terrifier wins. And of course, now they're making Terrifier 3. They've just made it. They're going to do...
Strangely enough, a movie that you hated that I absolutely loved, The Strangers.
I know. And I was asked to board the first one. I interviewed for
Really?
it. Part of my vitriol towards it. No.
They're doing a TV series based on that.
But you see, when I read the script, my first thought was there was a French film.
It was High Tension.
Them. Not High Tension.
Not High Tension, Them.
No, let me shoot you down there. It was called
Sounds
Them.
like a helicopter.
I know, yeah, it's similar. It was called Them, obviously not the Ant film from the 50s, which is great.
Yeah.
But this was a French film, and it was a home invasion thing.
Right.
Very similar, in fact. And I remember reading a script for Strangers, and, you know, it just shows you why I'm in the trench, because these guys saw something in it.
Right.
I've not seen the movie, to be fair.
It's good.
Right.
But there was something which I can't remember the title of. I saw a horror-ish sort of movie a couple of weeks back. It was so meh that I can't remember the title of it. But the thing that bothered me about it was there was the one line that they took from The Strangers, which is, why are you doing this? Because we can.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic in The Strangers, because it was just like, there's no explanation for why these people are doing these horrible things. And yet in this, I think whatever I was watching, it was a heist thing. And they were like, why are you doing
Obviously, it really marked you there.
Yeah, but I was just like, stealing good lines from other movies. And, you know, like Michael Caine said, it's all right to steal if you steal from the best.
That's right. And don't blink. When you act, don't blink.
Don't
all
blink.
right, I told you not to blow them bloody doors off.
I don't know what accent that was. It was almost.
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 Right. Oh, well. Anyway.
Anyway, so...
And what did Michael say? He goes, I've not seen Jaws 4, but I've seen the house it's brought, and it's fucking smashing.
Why is he Australian, Northern England?
Because I can't act,
Oh, that's...
as you well know. Now,
Yes.
moving on to what I've seen.
Yes.
So,
That's enough.
And it's interesting because you... Hey,
Carry on.
cut that. Now, moving on to what I've seen. Now, it's funny because you've been doing the horror stuff and everything recently. I've actually gone soft.
Oh.
Yeah, her indoors. Now, the good thing about her indoors is she does like a bit of horror and science. She's pretty flexible, actually. But we watched two softy films yesterday, directed by Danny Boyle. Now, hands up here, but in my life so far, I didn't give a shit about the Beatles.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Fair enough. No, that's okay.
I never brought the records. I never responded to the music.
Right.
The Yellow fucking Submarine I hated as a kid. The cartoon. I was like, what is going on?
Right.
And of course, the guys themselves, you know, John, it didn't really appeal to me. But the thing is...
Sounds suspiciously like someone very dangerous.
Yeah, I know. Easy, easy. But the thing is I saw this and I thought it was a beautiful film. Me and Sal really enjoyed it. You instantly know it's class because of the way it's directed and shot. And I was like, oh, who's this? And I didn't know it was Danny Boyle until the title came up, you know, and I was like, oh, fucking hell. And it's got Himesh Patel in it and Lily James as the leads. And it's very sweet. And the idea is what would happen if the world suddenly did a fart? And when you woke up, the Beatles never existed.
Right.
And this guy, who's a musician, he can remember the Beatles.
Yeah.
And so he fucking starts
lifting all their music
all
and
the
make it
lyrics
like
and everything. And it was really interesting because in lifting those lyrics and listening to them and seeing the subtitles, going deaf cunt, I really started to appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's taken me to the ripe old age of 35, which I am now, to appreciate the lyrics. And so yesterday did a really good job of opening my mind to it, you know. And Lily James, sorry, I'm just apologising to the wife here, but she is quite attractive, but she has this very ethereal presence. It's really interesting. So she and Hamish, who was very good and just very earnest and believable, And I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a very uplifting movie.
Yeah,
in
it's
a
a good
time.
film.
Yeah.
And just to segue off that for a second, but sticking with the Beatles, I was never a Beatles fan, but appreciation for their music because it's very recognizable.
Yeah.
And you can start singing along to it. It was only until a few years ago when a good friend of ours, Tony, said, here's the Beatles library, you should really listen to this. And I was listening to it. I just had it playing in the background while I was working on something. And I was like, oh, this sounds like Pink Floyd. This sounds like the Rolling Stones.
Right.
This sounds like that. Suddenly, like, dawns on me that these were the influences of all these massive bands that we love.
Yeah, and the thing is that in this film they have some ginger bloke,
Right.
who's a musician.
Yes, that's right.
What's his name? Ed?
Ed Sheeran, yeah.
Ed who?
Ed Sheeran,
Ed Sheeran.
yeah.
He's very good in it,
Yeah.
but it's a bit cocky.
Yeah, well, I think that was his character for the
I don't
film.
know.
He was playing himself, playing...
I like it when he goes, any of you want to shag him, you better get it in now.
I remember that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, and obviously he was in it because his music, which I've never listened to, comes from the Beatles.
Well, it's influenced by
So yeah, again, because of the subtitles, I can see the lyrics, and you're like, it's just fucking beautiful.
yeah.
The usage of the wording.
Well, they were geniuses.
The evocativeness of it. Very clever.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yes.
To another softy film, which was called Always Be My Maybe.
Oh,
And it was with Ali Wong and Randall Park. Now, they are a comedian and a comedian. Asian.
two comedians.
Oh, that was not so gentle, Peter-ting.
I was just trying to make it
Let me just
simple
pull
for
my
you.
trousers up. Anyway, so they're comedians, and Ali Wong was in Beef,
Yeah.
which we both loved.
I haven't seen it. I still haven't seen it. It's on my list. It's on my watch list.
Fucking list.
I haven't had
James's
a chance.
list. I'll show it in black and white. James's list.
Yeah. Can I have a red coat?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can't watch these things because Moni is sensitive to
She'd
anything.
love Beef.
I think she would, but she's it's one of those things that's not on her radar.
Anyway, Always Be My Maybe. It's that idea of you have a friend.
Okay.
Kids, you grow up and you're just friends.
Right.
And then there's a line where you mature, puberty, and suddenly that friend you realise you love. And, I'm getting a bit teary.
Oh no, knock it off! For fuck's sake.
No, I thought it was really sweet. Anyway. Oh, God. No, I thought it was really sweet. And
Your glasses are fogging up.
anyway, they
touched you.
It touched me in
Yeah.
a special place. And where my heart should be instead of that black rock. But anyway, so they kind of had this situation where they tell each other, they kiss for the first time, and then it all kind of goes pear-shaped.
Right.
And then you cut to 20 years later.
Right.
And now Ali Wong is with this smart aleck Asian guy who's an investor and loads of money. And Randall Park is still where he used to live. He's helping out his dad. And obviously the film brings them together and they reignite their passion through various things that happen without spoiling it. But I thought it was a very sweet film. And I watched these films and at first you're like, oh, it's simple. And then you're like, no, it's life. Life really is that simple. It's like leaving home, leaving your parents. Not realizing somebody loves you, looking everywhere for something and it's right under your fucking nose. What does it mean to have a friend who you love and you just ignore and then they have to turn away from you? And just all these things it brought up, I thought it was very sweet. So I very much recommend that.
Yeah, okay. See, that kind of reminds me of a Ryan Reynolds movie, Just Friends from 2005.
Just Friends?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That sounds similar.
It is a hilarious one. Funny enough, Guy had told me about it and he was like, you have to see this because Ryan Reynolds and the guy who plays his brother reminded my brother of me and him in the fact that they were always punching each other in inopportune moments and shit like that.
Beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
No. I'll put that on my list.
Seriously, I recommend it. It is a funny as hell movie.
Just Friends.
Yeah.
You have to type that in on our notes here so I can remember.
Yes. It's one of my favorites because it's just so ridiculous.
Well, moving on. Talk about Apple TV. Now, there's been a fair few shows on
Yeah,
Apple.
so tell me about that. I
Yeah.
saw your note and I was like, what are you talking about?
So Apple TV, I enjoyed The Masters of the Air, which was absolutely fabulous.
I'm watching that at the moment.
And then they had The Gentleman in Moscow.
I haven't watched that yet. It's on my list.
Oh, actually.
Again.
Is that Apple?
Yes.
It is Apple, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, So that was really good. And then, you know, you're in that void where you've had a lovely streaming session.
Yep.
You've binged, and then you're like, fuck, it's come to an end. What are we going to watch?
What next?
Oh dear.
Yeah.
And you're scrambling, you don't know what to do, you're lost, you're scrolling, you don't know, life has become meaningless. And then suddenly, one of you remembers, and Sally was like, oh, I remember about
Pachinko?
That's the word, pachinko. And now pachinko is an arcade game. It's kind of like vertical pinball.
Okay.
If you go to Japan, there's arcades filled with these fucking things. Ding, 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 and they love them. The Japanese love them.
Okay.
Obviously, Koreans love it. I think it's a Korean game. But it's based on a New York Times bestseller. And season 1 came out in 2022, and season 2 is just about to be released.
Okay.
It was actually shot in British Columbia and also Korea. And it looks beautiful. It's beautifully designed, beautifully acted. It goes all the way back in the past, and it tells the story of Koreans and the last Japanese emperor.
Okay.
They invaded Korea, and they subjugated the Koreans. There was murders, rapes.
Yeah.
I hate to say, but the usual fucking thing that we're still doing. And in the film, they say the people endure. And that really struck me because Israel, Gaza, Russia, Ukraine,
Right.
all over the fucking world,
Yeah.
the people are enduring. And this show really shows that. It shows how a family rises up and what happens to them.
Yeah.
And there's a great episode that was set in the 1923 Yokohama earthquake.
Right. When I read that, I thought, oh, he's put in the wrong date. Because I was thinking of the other earthquake that happened in 92 or whenever it was, when the freeway collapsed. And I said, no, that wasn't Yokohama. That was something else.
This was way back then, and it devastated the city. And it brings up interesting questions, because I don't know about you, but I'm at a stage where, what with the film industry where it is, and I've been working in it for 38 years, and all of a sudden this fucking artificial intelligence has come along, and it's going to be devastating, not to be negative. I'm sure there's lots of positive things, but from an artist's point of view, it is quite devastating. And so I find myself swimming a little bit in the void of opportunity in life and so on and so forth. And it was interesting because Sal was a refugee from Vietnam originally. Boat people, nothing, absolutely nothing. And this series shows what happens with people who have nothing, but they have everything in their spirit and their fight.
Yeah.
And to be honest, you and I came here, 2 Brits in LA. We chose to come here.
Yeah.
We didn't have to escape.
Right.
We got our fucking visas. We got our green cards. So fucking lucky.
Yeah.
And then you look at this, the endurance. And I found it so inspiring. I really recommend it.
Okay. I'll give that a look. Again, that'll be
Put it
another
on
thing that I'll add to my
list.
My freaking list.
Mastriani's list.
Which is longer than your list of credits, I have to say. But
Sorry, I'm too busy talking. I can't hear you.
I know.
So, politics.
Well, let's not talk about the elephant in the room, but what we can say is the Tories are out.
Huzzah!
Woo! Finally.
Dun, 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 dun,
Not
dun.
that I think the Labour government's going to do any better. I would have liked there to be a...
Hung Parliament.
No. I would like there to be the Liberal Democrats. But you know what? 14 years of cockwomble rule.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends on Facebook in the UK are like, send in the clowns. And I'm like, you know what? 14 years of austerity. I don't think Keir Starmer's going to do any better, but he can't do any fucking worse.
The problem is, they all come from the same club.
Yes, well, that's what they were saying.
Yeah, they're all well-to-do. They have a certain world view.
Yeah.
So the situation as it presented to me is that you had the joy of when the Labour came in the last time. And
1997.
1997. And there was a change. It was Cool Britannia. And it kind of keeps going for a while. But then because the system almost resets itself back into the same problems. And also people's mentality. I noticed on Facebook today, you got people with the White Cliffs of Dover with escalators going up them, symbolising welcoming the refugees, welcoming the illegal immigrants. It's like, really, guys, is that the fucking problem? I can see to a degree there is a problem there. There needs to be control.
But you'll notice the Tories had no freaking success with all their freaking plans. Yeah.
It's like they've been there 14 years and you got the fucking cheek to put an image of an escalator with the White Cliffs of Dover the day after Labour win. It's like, really? And it's like, dude, you get into the machine. How would you do it? I don't know how I'd do it. If tomorrow morning I woke up, I was Prime Minister of Britain.
Well, again, watching Sky News today, just because it's the only live feed from England I get.
Right.
It was just really interesting to go to bed last night when they'd won and they're all talking about this, that, and the other, and the Tories who are now out of a job and all this kind of stuff, to this morning for us, but this afternoon for them. Not only have both former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and the new Prime Minister Keir Starmer met with Prince Charles, King Charles, to have that conversation, but they've already assigned their cabinet.
Yeah.
They had a game plan, knowing the public opinion of the Tories was down the toilet. Again, not saying that Labour's going to be any better, it's just different, and they're going to give it a good shot.
Well, we'll see. And the thing is, you have these ideologies with each pie. The Tories, people seem to believe peace and security, as the fucking cockwomble Cameron said.
Yeah.
Peace and security under the Tories.
Yeah.
Some sort of budget balance, some sense of law and order.
Yeah.
None of those fucking things have happened.
No.
Just remember that.
Yeah.
And then there's the fear that Labour is going to be this socialist fucking Red Army bullshit.
Right. Yeah, I know. And that coupled with the NHS being completely dismantled every step of the way under the Conservatives.
Well, I've got to be honest with you, both parties over the decades. My dad always said he worked in the NHS for 40 years. There was never invested in properly.
Right.
They took money that was meant for it. They put it in the roads. They did all this. It's always been a needle in their eye.
Oh, yeah.
Because they can see the money that could be made for
Yeah.
it. Welcome to America, as we know.
Right.
Talking of which,
Yes.
your infusion, sir.
Yes.
Infusion man.
Yes, but I'm strong.
Infusion man.
Yeah, interesting. The day after the infusion, there were no problems. I was like, yay, I actually felt really good coming out of the infusion. That was on the Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Thursday was good. Friday was excellent. Felt energized, and this could have been just like the placebo effect because I was like, this is good, I feel good. And I was doing the old sort of like dancing a jig just to prove I could move my legs and all this kind of stuff. Come Saturday morning, pounding headache out of nowhere, just woke up with this headache. And then that lasted all day and it morphed into this like congestion headache. And there was nothing I could take. I couldn't take Advil, I couldn't take Tylenol. I mean, I could take it, had no effect. Same thing on Sunday, same thing on Monday. Finally, yesterday, what day is it today? Wednesday? Thursday? No,
Friday,
Friday.
mate.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, fine.
Obviously not quite there yet.
Finally on Tuesday, 7 days later, headache's gone. I don't want to jinx it, but touch wood, I am feeling fine in the head department, but I am not feeling any benefits from anything. And it's too early to call.
Oh, dude, it's not like fucking Frankenstein who flushes you,
I know,
with the serum of life from the elixir underneath the fucking pyramids, mate.
I know.
They say it takes anywhere for 2 to 5 months,
Yes,
James.
no,
and
exactly.
also, I'm glad in a little bit of way because I wouldn't be able to take the piss.
No, exactly.
So I want you to be well, but there's a balance of taking the piss.
Well,
Mickey.
exactly. Well, if you want to feel some pain, I finally got the bill.
Oh, here we go. Now, talking about NHS and American health insurance.
Yeah. So, of course, as I mentioned before, I do have the worst insurance
Yes.
in the world in the sense that it's good for people who are generally healthy. So ever reaching my $6,300 a year deductible was very few and far between and not going to happen. Well, I have met that deductible in one fell swoop thanks to this rituximab injection. Wow. So all of my things for the rest of the year are going to be free.
Right.
And then, of course, I messaged my doctor and said, hey, I'd love to get that second infusion in December. And she goes, well, we'll see how it goes in October, November. I'm like, no, I would really like you to just put the referral in. So at least it's there. If you decide that I'm not reacting to it properly by then, we can always cancel it. But I would love you to put the referral in because if it goes to next year, then it starts all over again, which I'm fully expecting it to happen anyway. But I would like to have this second infusion this year.
That's far too convenient,
No, of course
James.
it is.
They won't be able to bleed you dry, me old China.
Of course not.
I got to be honest, my health insurance is dependent upon my work in the film industry. I have to do 400 hours every 6 months. 400 hours when there is no work is a lot of fucking hours.
Yeah, and can you not supplement that with your own?
No. Oh, no, nothing like that. That's far too helpful.
Money and I pay for our insurance out of our own pocket.
Yeah,
so
well, I pay for it via my work.
Right.
When I do those hours, the producers contribute.
Yeah.
That contribution
goes towards
to the health. But the thing is, you then have a bank of hours of which, theoretically, you should be accruing all these hours, right?
Yeah.
No.
No, of
There's
course
a
not.
bank and you're allowed so much, which is basically just the 400
that you're allowed
hours.
to carry over.
Yeah.
Right.
So basically, next year I'm into the bank halfway, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, okay.
Okay, so
Right,
similar thing with that. Last year I had a couple of procedures done that I'm still paying just under $4,000 out of pocket.
Oh my God.
Tack that on to the $6,300 that I have this year that I have to pay. So that's $10,000. And then next year there's going to be another $6,300. So I'm kind of screwed, and I'm doing a payment plan with them. They can have $200 a month for the rest of my life.
You know, it's like, here's the big fucking elephant in the room. Talk about that.
Right.
Moving swiftly on.
Yeah. So I think you were going to bring up the point that last month in June,
Yes.
my very first girlfriend, Tracy.
Oh, yes. I'll never forget Tracy, because she's the one you took to see Richard Burton instead of me, a mate.
Yes, that is right.
Yeah.
And before we go into that situation, I realized that there was a correction from March of 2023 when we were talking about Elstree Studios and her involvement.
All right. Okay.
And she actually had a correction, which I completely spaced on, that the Big Brother house at Elstree Studios wasn't on the site of the new George Lucas stage. It was, in fact, next to it. But the house has been demolished because the show is over. But did you know that the George Lucas stage was built on the site of the Overlook Hotel exterior set?
Can I just... Hold on. The Shining. Anyway, so yeah, now Tracy's quite interesting. So you've known her since you were 14 years old.
Yeah, we were at school together, high school.
Yeah, she owns her own company.
I knew that she had her own security company. She is her own boss.
You should have. Sorry, Money. Anyway,
So I knew that she ran security for the Big Brother show,
right.
but I didn't realize that encompassed Elstree Studios.
Right, so she's security for Elstree Studios.
Right, as well as other things
Yeah.
that we cannot talk about.
No,
Because
we can talk about one though.
we can definitely talk about one. One of your favorite directors,
Yes,
she runs the security for that estate, which is...
Stanley Kubrick.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was quite an eye-opening
Now,
revelation.
why does Stanley Kubrick's estate have to have security, which I found interesting?
We would have to get her on the show.
We were, but I think she explained.
Did she explain to you?
Well, she kind of explained, because basically with the moon landing and all this stuff, you know, you have all these, I hate to use the word nutter, but there are a few people disturbed and know where Stanley Kubrick was based, and they do kind of pose a threat. That was what I got from what she was saying.
I think she was telling you that while I was arranging something outside.
You're arranging the flowers outside. Yeah. So I thought that was quite fascinating.
Yeah.
And of course, the house, there's artifacts there, and I believe the original typewriter from The Shining is there. All work and no play makes James a dull boy.
Did she mention to you that the table is actually in Mrs. Kubrick's kitchen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently it's a huge table.
Yeah. And also, Mrs. Kubrick's an amazing artist.
Yeah. But it was lovely having Tracy here. She brought her daughter, Casey, for her 21st birthday, and we had a great time while they were here.
Yeah, it was lovely seeing her.
It was really nice. So, Tracy, you need to come back again and bring the rest of your family as well.
Steady on. Well, keep listening, Tracy. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
And with that said, I think we'll say toodle pip.
Yep.
And we're going to have a little break because, well, it's been a...
You're struggling for the rest of the words, aren't you?
It's just been a bit of a tough year.
Yep.
And so we're going to have a little break for the summer holidays. I'm going to Margate. Where are you going, James?
Oh, I'm going to be right here.
Yeah, watching loads of movies.
Yes.
And eating cereal because you're just so sad. You don't even make yourself any food, do you? Bye, mate.
See you later. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Come
Idiot.
Before we go, we bring you our
Fact check! Fact check! Fact check!
Fact check segment.
Here with the benefit of hindsight,
And editing.
we can own up to our mistakes.
So, mate, IATSE International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees.
Oh, the pain. I can't even remember my own bleeding union.
Yeah.
Thanks, James.
And the other one was AMPTP, the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers.
Oh, I told you. Now, here's one for you, James. It's not the Dead Wives Club, which actually I think would be quite a good pitch. It was the First Wives Club, 1996.
Yeah, but that was a good movie, I have to say. Martin, the
Yeah.
cow you were referring to was not the Disney cow. It was a cow with Star Wars on it, and Mickey Mouse was going to the cow to milk it.
To milk those teats.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like Luke did in one of the dreadful episodes, my God.
Speaking of,
Yes, Kylo Ren's lightsaber.
was from Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, directed by J.J. Abrams.
Captain Flair himself. Now, James, Strangers, it's not going to be a TV series. They're making a new movie and it's called Strangers Chapter 1.
Yes, and unlike you, after all the arguments we went through when it turns out you didn't watch the original Strangers.
I know I've never watched it. I was asked to work on it. And I didn't get the job.
Martin, Gentleman in Moscow is on Paramount Plus. I got that wrong. You got that wrong.
Yeah, no wonder I keep looking for it. Can't find it.
But you watched it.
Yeah, finally,
okay.
it clicks, you know. And a shout out to Casey for doing our bidding in North London. The British Transport Police have made contact and will be keeping their eye out for you, my love.
Not at all, sweetheart. Thank you very much for what you've done for us over there.
Aye, aye.
All right, see you next time.
Cheers.
Bye.
Happy holidays.